Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious about what this is or you've got a bit lost. Welcome, everyone. I am Chatty, and welcome to my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, where I am going to be chatting madly about all of the series and where I am in them and what's going on and what it is currently looking like. So last year, which was 2022, I did like a series of 3 videos and I kind of would review my series on a termly basis. It was absolutely the plan for this year, but it hasn't worked out. I just have not got round to doing it at the end of April. It just didn't happen. So I'm just going to do 2 parts this year. I'm going to do a midway point of the series, then I'm going to do an end of year look at the series. So that's the plan. So cheers everybody. I'm going to do my little gimmick because it is one shot. We'll be using the power of pause and nothing else to edit this video. So cheers. Clink, 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 clink. Prepare for utter chaos. So I'm going to start off by showing you what my series looked like at the beginning of the year. So how much I had read starting at end of January 2022. No, end of December 2022, beginning of January 2023. And then where I am now at the end of June 2023.
So here we are. These are the 21 series I was on the go with as of the 1st of January 2023. So I'm going to go from the ones I've had on the go for the longest to the most recent. So I have Maya Angelou. I have read Gather Together in My Name, need to read the 3rd book. The Hollow Hills by Mary Stewart, I need to read. It's the 2nd book in the Merlin trilogy. I've read Legendborn. I need to read Bloodmarked, which is the 2nd book in the Legendborn, possibly trilogy, who knows. I'm doing a reread of Stormlight. So the next book I need to read is the 3rd book, Oathbringer, so I can then continue to do a new read of Rhythm of War. Hollowpox is the 3rd book in the Nevermore series, The Hunt for Morrigan Crow, which I need to read. Harry the Ninth, the 2nd book in the Locked Tombs trilogy, I need to read. John Gwynne, The Hunger of the Gods, I need to read. 2nd book in the Bloodsworn saga. World Without End, the 2nd book in the King's Knight series, which is the Pillars of the Earth was the first one. So I need to read that one. I need to read the final book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Return of the King. I need to read Murder on the Safari Star, the 3rd book in the Adventures on Train series. I need to read Thunderhead, the 2nd book in the Scythe trilogy. I need to read A Court of Wings and Ruin, the 3rd book in the ACOTAR series. A Conjuring of Light by V. Schwab, the 3rd book in the Shades of Magic series. Rereading the Percy Jackson series, needing to read The Titan's Curse. Sad Ghost Club Book 2 I need to read. I need to read the 2nd book in the Becky Chambers Wayfarer series, The Long Way to Small and Angry Planet. I think it's Close and Common Orbit, which is the 2nd one. I need to read the 2nd book in the Brown Sisters series, which is Take a Hint, Danny Brown. I need to read the 2nd book in the Ship of Shadows series, which I think is something to do with secrets. The 3rd book in the Ember and the Ashes Quartet, which is Reaper at the Gates. The 2nd book in the Bureau of Supernatural Investigations, which is Amari and the Great Game. And the 2nd book, I can't remember, in the Edinburgh Night series. This is the Library of the Dead. I need to read The Lady of Mysterious Ailments. So that is what I have going. And then this is a series that I'm up to date with. So currently, Only a Monster is the only book out in that series. The 2nd book, Rainbow Grey and the Eye of the Storm, is the latest book out in the Rainbow Grey trilogy. She Who Became the Sun, waiting on the 2nd book in the, I think it's the Drowned Emperor's duology. Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun, we're waiting on the 2nd Onyeka book. Belladonna, we are waiting on the 2nd book. I don't know what the series is called, but the 2nd book is called Foxglove, so we're waiting on that one. And then here we have the Lizzie and Bell Mysteries, Drama and Danger, waiting on the 2nd book, which is Poisons and Portraits. And I think I need to kind of make my peace with, there is not going to be. I don't think there's going to be another book in the Twice We Make Magic and Once We Were Witches series. It just felt that it was wrapped up in Twice We Make Magic, despite me kind of wanting more from it and wishing it wasn't wrapped up like that and that we had more. But I think we have. So I'm going to say this series is finished and I'm taking it off the pile. But I counted it at the start of January. So that was 7 series that I'm up to date with.
So let's see what I've been doing over January to June, the first half of the year, with my series, and we'll have a look at how those piles look at the end and see if I'm doing well or if I could be doing better. I did fully intend to, like, so last time I kind of did like a point system of like minuses and pluses, comparing like how I went from quarter to quarter. Obviously everything I finished counted in a very much a plus sense, but everything I started counted in a minus sense because it added more to my big long list of series. I was trying to get a system going where, because you can cheat the system, so you could read just one book where you start a series, but it's the start of a new series, so technically you're up to date. So that kind of feels a bit like cheating, because I've actually started a series, but it just so happens that there aren't any more books out, so I'm up to date, which sounds very good. Whereas you can read sort of like 3 books and progressing on a series and just kind of not really get a lot to show for it, but you have been working really hard on that series. So I wanted to kind of balance it out a little bit more and kind of have a better system. But I'm going to save that till next year when I'm going to go back to doing it termly, which is the plan. So I'm just kind of going to compare where I am in the midpoint of this year and kind of reflect on how that's looked from my performance last year with getting through series and possibly starting too many. Let's see how we go. So I have started, hold on, come on, wiggle through. So I've started a few series, I have progressed with a few series, and I have finished a few series. I'm going to start off with starting first of all. So I have started the Unmapped Chronicle series, which is a middle grade series by Abby Elphinstone. There are 4 books in the Unmapped Chronicle series. So as of June, end of June, I have read Rumblestar, which is the first book. And then I've got Everdark and Jungle Drop out of the library. Everdark is the prequel and Jungle Drop is the second book. And I have the Crackle Dawn Dragon that is the 4th and final book that I need to read to finish this series out. It's such a delightful series. It is whimsical. It has got portal magic. It is also just so warm-hearted. So in each book you meet a child from our world that is struggling a bit in some form or other. And they go into the unmapped kingdoms where they are helping. There's like danger in the unmapped kingdoms, and what happens in the unmapped kingdoms affects our weather on Earth and our kind of environment. So it's important that the magic is continued to kind of help both the worlds. And through doing it, usually the protagonist finds out more about themselves, like discovers courage or kindness or compassion or something. They kind of be more themselves. And that sounds like it could very easily be patronizing when you've got a very adult voice talking to children. But Abby Elphinstone's authorial voice is beautiful. She is so warm and cozy, and it feels like she's just giving you a big warm hug throughout the entire book. And to be a child reading this, it just is so heartwarming. I'm finding it heartwarming. But I think as a child, when everything seems really big and you just kind of see the world really clearly, and like small things feel big, but actually as an adult you start to realize that those small things actually are the big things, and it's just so beautiful. It's just so beautifully done. So yeah, I have one more book to read. So I've read the first book and then I have progressed by reading the 2 and 3. So although I started a new series, I'm doing pretty well with it. I then started sort of a duology, which is contemporary YA, and that is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. So The Hate You Give was originally a standalone and sort of depicted life in America, exploring kind of the themes of racism, police brutality, drugs, a few things in there. And then there is a book called Concrete Rose, which is kind of a prequel to this, about Star's father, Malachi. So it's Malachi's story. So I've got that one to read, but I've read The Hate You Give and had a really, really great time with it. I love Angie Thomas's writing. I find her writing really gripping. I find her characters really empathetic, you kind of immediately want to get to know more about them and kind of join in with them. I spoke about this in my New Year Freakout Tag video, and in that video directed people to kind of a more of an up-to-date kind of point of view from some Black booktubers about the issues in The Hate U Give. So if you are interested in this book, I definitely recommend, I will link my mid-year Freakout Tag here, and please go and follow the links in there. It's all like clearly signposted, but if you follow the links you can find out a little bit more about this book. But yeah, started that duology and I'm really enjoying it, so I hope to continue with that one. I then have a stand-in, because I don't own this book, it's from the library. So this is Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao. It is the first book in, I don't know if it's a series or how big the series is, but there is more. So it's the first book in some sort of series. The Heavenly Tyrant is the second book. It was due out this year, but it's actually been pushed back to next year. So I am currently now up to date with this series. So that's what I meant. Well, I've started a book and now I'm up to date. So go me. But I've just read the one book. But Iron Widow was incredible. I really, really enjoyed it. It is a YA sci-fi, and it has drawn a lot from sort of inspiration from Chinese history and Chinese historical figures. It's also got very much like kind of like this dystopia vibe of how women are really treated as second-class citizens, but also there's like classism involved in there. So there's other like tribes within the world that they look down on, and they're also at war. So there's really a lot going on, and there's the three kind of like central characters in this book I got very, very fond of. It's quite dark, and it's quite graphic in some places, so just, you know, check the trigger warnings before going into it. Another series that I started, where I've just read the first book, is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson, and the second book has now just been released. So I have been up to date with this for a while, but I'm now no longer up to date because there's a second book. But it's glorious there's a second book, because then I can read the second book and I'm so excited. So this, again, it's fantasy. It's slightly more, so it's paranormal because it's about witches. It's slightly more kind of like urban. It's set in a contemporary world, but with like a hidden magical side to it. So I think it's possibly more like urban fantasy vibes. But it's just the characters in this, how the plot kind of reflects social values that we have now, is really fascinating, and it is just an absolute good time. So really loving this one, can't wait to continue. I have other books that I have started, but I have also finished those series, so I'm going to kind of talk about them in the finishing series bit. So for some stats, for January to June, I started 8 series. So I have spoken about 4 of them. So you will see the other 4 I have now moved on to completed, which is delightful. So yeah, so technically out of those ones that I've started, 2, no, that one's not up to date, so that needs to go over here. Okay, so there are 3 I need to finish. 1 is up to date, and hold on, 8, 3, 4 I have finished. So not too bad, could be worse. So it's kind of like 3 that have been added to the pile, really. So let's move on to finished. Let's chug this along. Chug. And what are you? Oh yes, I remember what you are. So let's start off with the ones where I have been completing series. So Sad Ghost Club 2 was one of the books that I needed to read to finish what I thought was finished that series. But it turns out there is also Sad Ghost Club 3. So, but I have now read those, and I have now finished the series. Might be finished, might be up to date, haven't heard. I'm counting it as finished for now, but whenever there's another Sad Ghost Club book, I will pick it up because it's a graphic novel and it's so easy to read. So the Sad Ghost Club is a set of graphic novels which depicts these lovely ghosties here, which basically look like people wearing a bedsheet. And it symbolises people who have mental health problems, so depression, anxiety, all of that jazz. And they are just supporting each other and, you know, supporting all those sad ghosts out there to say, you're not alone. We are here. Come and join us. We understand you. We know how you feel. We are finding it hard as well. So it is so heartwarming. It's such a heartwarming series. And I think each book kind of tackles like a different aspect of what it's like to kind of live with depression. So the first book, it was very much kind of like lethargic, struggling to kind of manage day to day, and then finding someone else who gets you. The second book was kind of looking at how you can kind of overthink things and think of things in a way where you're kind of putting your thoughts onto other people, and that's not actually where they're thinking. So you can kind of think that you don't matter. You can kind of think that, you know, they don't need you anymore and kind of disappear and drift off. But that's not actually true. That's you thinking that. That's not them thinking that. So I really love the Sad Ghost Club 2. Sad Ghost Club 3 is where you kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself to do things, and that you're going to really let people down if you don't do those things, and they're relying on you to do them, and you have to do them, rather than saying, actually guys, this is a lot, I need help. So that's what that one dealt with, and I thought they're just so heartwarming and so lovely. So if you haven't read Sad Ghost Club, just pick it up. It's a graphic novel, so easy to read, so quick, and it's just like a little warm hug. So I'm saying finished Sad Ghost Club. So that is one off the big giant list. So that's a yay. I'm not sure where I'm putting all these books. I'm going to pop you down here. I then, just finding my different book piles. Hold on. Squeeze! Come out to play. There we go. Okay, so I said I was up to date in Rainbow Grey, but in March we got the release of the third and final book in the Rainbow Grey trilogy. So this is Rainbow Grey Battle for the Skies. Take a moment to appreciate the cover. There is Grey. There is Ray Grey with her magical rainbow hair and her rainbow stick. Battling the rebel rogues, the rogue weatherlings in the sky. So this is middle grade. It is whimsical fantasy. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. It is just delightful. And we have wonderful illustrations from Lauren Ellen Anderson throughout the book. So there is Ray and her cloud cat Nim. I just love all of the fun additions to this world and how it's all made up. And this is one where it's kind of been building up to this kind of villain taking over, and we get the fallout in this one. And we also get what Ray's got to do, and we also find out a bit more about her secret rainbow powers and kind of what happened to the other rainbow weatherlings. And we have a little bit more of a connection of Earth as well. So that is the end of the Rainbow Grey series. I loved them so much. Here they all are together. Here is a beautiful Waterstones sprayed edges. They are just such a delightful set of books. They are so warm. It's just like lovely. If you need a kind of pick-me-up book, I definitely recommend the Rainbow Grey series to do that. And again, a lot of heart in here, and it's just gorgeous. So my finished pile is here. There we go. Working out where it is. Okay, I'm now on, so I've finished 5 series in 6 months. Almost one a month, but not quite. So those were the 2 that were from my continuous pile. So one from up to date and one from the continuous pile. The rest are all new that I have completed. So not really doing a great job at ticking off the ones that are already on my list, but here we go. At least the ones I've started aren't hanging around for too long. So again, another series that I absolutely loved. I've just kind of sat here wibbling the book because it's so floppy. We don't always get floppy books here. The UK makes tight books. Here is Binti, the Binti trilogy. This is the full trilogy in a complete bind-up, plus Sacred Fire, the short story. This is by Dr. Nedia Okorafor, and this series was incredible. They are novellas, they are adult sci-fi, and they're amazing. It is African futurism, and it's just beautiful. I'm just astounded by how they're novellas, yet she has this in-depth, very clearly thought out world when it feels so real. Like when you're in her writing, you are just living and breathing. It's like you can feel the sand, you can feel the uji, you can feel like the characters and where they are, you can hear their voices. It's just so vivid. You feel so fully immersed in this world, and the different cultures and the different histories in here. It's just so much, but it's just in novellas. The central character, Binti, she goes through a lot. It's very much about kind of like finding who you are, but finding who you are in terms of, well, I have this heritage, but this is how I feel. I have this heritage, but I've now grown into kind of like becoming part of this. So it's like a big mixture of everything, and it's how kind of Binti manages that, how Binti manages her trauma. There's a lot of kind of like encouragement of people trying to work together, but you can only do so much. You cannot force people to be peaceful with each other, which is really, really hard. But it was an absolutely beautiful series. I highly recommend it to everyone if you like sci-fi. If you want to try sci-fi, just, it's so gorgeous. Love it. Okay, we then have a series that I've DNF'd. I haven't properly done all my videos on this one yet. But, you know, some people watch these, some people watch other ones. I'll just chat about it in here first, and there will be wrap-ups to follow. So I did not intend to start this series. I just intended to read the first book for a project. And that is the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. So I was doing a series of books called Anyone for Seconds, where I give an author a second chance, as well as seeing, do I still love an author that I really, really love? So this was part of my More Than Fae pairing that I've recently kind of released with all of my thoughts on it. And I surprised myself and ended up having a really good time with this book. I enjoyed A House of Earth and Blood. I enjoyed the political setup, the world. I enjoyed the growth of the kind of exploration of the characters and who they are, and kind of the relationship that develops. I enjoyed kind of hanging out in this world. I liked the plot. I was impressed that Maas managed to do a plot where you were given little bits of like setup, and then they were pulled together in this big payoff. And it involved lots of different characters. It involved lots of different parts of this city. It involved lots of different species or houses and district people, all kind of pulled together. And it was really interesting. And it very much kind of has a setup of kind of like, these are the powers in charge, but should they be in charge? There is a background of like a war. I was very surprised about how much I loved it, like, because I do get annoyed by her writing. I do not need the excessive description of people's clothes or their postures that you get in here. I do not need to know that everyone is beautiful. So little things like that rubbed me up the wrong way a little bit, but I was able to, once the plot started, the plot was enough. It's kind of like a crime plot. So you're getting bodies, but like bodies been devoured by demons kind of like around, and sort of working out what's going on, and kind of trying to solve a murder investigation. So I enjoyed all of that. And once she had the plot going, she stopped needing to explain everything so much, and we kind of organically got layers of the characters in here. So because of that, I mean, I have heard people say that they really enjoyed House of Earth and Blood, and those same people say they did not enjoy House of Sky and Breath. But I was like, oh, my library has it on audiobook. I might as well give it a whirl, because I did enjoy this one. So like, you know, even if it's just silly times with the characters, I'm sure it'll be fun. Yeah, no, my first thought was correct. It was not fun. It was painful. It was painful, and the ending didn't save it, because the ending is for Maas fans. I'm not a Maas fan, so I didn't really care so much about the ending. I cared about where the plot could have gone, and if we just stayed focused on the immediate points in here, that was interesting enough for me. But I wanted to pull House of Sky and Breath to pieces and get her to do at least 8 more writings of it, like, you know, eight more edits, because there was a lot of so many unnecessary stuff, like red herrings there for the sake of red herrings, and just like stuff that didn't make sense, character decisions that made no sense, and it just felt that was basically like filler until we get to the end, and then she can write the book she wants to write. You don't do that for 1,000 pages. So I'm like, I'm out. I'm out. If I hear people absolutely raving about Flames and something else, the most interesting house, the demony interesting house, that sounds interesting. If I hear people raving about it, but they may be raving about it because they're Mass fans, I may try it. Or I might watch people's reviews and then see, do I think I'm going to get anything from it? Probably not. I really don't think I'm going to get anything from it. I think I'm going to read people's reviews and like a rough synopsis just to see where it goes. But I'm not. I have other books that I could be reading rather than these massive tomes. So I have finished, for all intents and purposes, I finished Crescent City series because I'm not going to continue. Technically I'm up to date, but I'm just going to say right now, I'm not putting them on the pile. I'm just DNFing because no. On a more positive note, we have an author I do absolutely adore, and it is Hobb. And these books are in the wrong order. There we go. That's better, she says. There we go. So this is, I started and finished the Rainwild Chronicles, which is the 4th series in the Realm of the Elderlings series. And it is about dragons and Bingtown culture and Rainwild culture and that part of the world. So this was a whole lot of fun. All my thoughts on these books are now out in my various different wrap-ups over the months. My favourite book is probably Dragon Keeper Dragon Haven, which I think isn't necessarily people's favourite, but I just enjoyed the immersion. I loved the character arcs in that one. I loved the growth of dragon stuff and dragon lore, and I just loved being in the moment. I really enjoyed the plots of City and Blood, but I wanted more time with them. I felt it wasn't the full Hobb experience. I felt it's almost like things were glossed over because it's kind of like the opposite to Mass, where we were just wandering around for no reason. Things were dealt with quickly, but I'm like, oh, but I didn't quite get my emotional payoff, because if I'd been with them for a bit longer and kind of, sweated alongside them and, cried with them and all of that, then the emotional reaction to stuff would have been bigger. So we didn't quite get that in here, but I think the story Hobb wanted to tell was very much focused on the dragons and their keepers and Rainwild, but you also have some political stuff going on, some kind of shifts in power, and I think that's all going to come into play in the final series, which is Fits in the Fall, which I will be starting soon, so I'm very excited about that. But overall, I had a wonderful time with Rainwild Chronicles. So that was finishing the 5 series, and it looks like this. If I can do a stack up of all the books. I didn't read you to, so I'm just going to pop you off. Here we go. It's coming. So here we go. These are all the books I've read to finish off series for this first half of the year. Blah. Okay, so I'm now also up to date. I have progressed with series. I've got up to date with some. So I have been working on some of the series on my big pile. So I'm going to do the ones that I've just progressed and stayed with. So what have I written down here? Okay, I've written 5. What's the 5th one I've progressed with? Interesting. Hold on one moment. I've worked it out now. Sorry, there's someone at the door with a parcel. But I've worked it out. It was Unmapped Chronicles that I was progressing with. That's why. Okay, anyway, these are the ones I've not talked about yet. So I have read the 3rd book in the Adventures on Train series. So that is Murder on the Safari Star. This was a really fun time. I'm really enjoying this series. We got to see an improvement in Hal's drawing skills. We've got to continue to see Hal and Uncle Nat continue this wonderful nephew-uncle bond, which is gorgeous. And we got to go around South Africa, which was wonderful. Really enjoyed that one. I'm continuing with my Percy Jackson series. So this is Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse. It's really fun rereading this. I was hoping to have reread a bit more, but there's just so many books. There's just so many books, and it doesn't always happen. But I will be focusing on trying to get this series finished now, because I am enjoying this reread, and I just kind of want it to be done. I don't want it to be such big gaps in between. But I enjoyed rereading The Titan's Curse. It was a lot of fun. I read the next book in the Brown sisters. So I've read Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was a really good time. I did really enjoy it. I love the characters. I love their relationship. I think I still prefer Get a Life, Chloe Brown a little bit more, just because I can't put my finger on it, but I just did. My personal preference was I preferred that one, but I still enjoyed this one a lot as well. And I did progress with The Ember and the Ashes. I have now read A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. I did really enjoy this one. I've spoken about it in a recent wrap-up video. It's my least favourite of the series so far, but I just think that's just because of the way the plot has had to go for this. And it just didn't quite feel as fun as it did before. But I'm really enjoying the plot and kind of where this goes, and I'm really excited to see how it all finishes up and what it looks like at the end. I think Sabaa Tahir has done a brilliant job with like working out where she wants this series to be and what she wants it dealing with. Okay, so I am now up to date with 3. And I have 2 here. So why am I up to date? I've only got 2 books here. Hold on. And again, it's because it was Iron Widow that I'm up to date with. I've already spoken about this one. Okay, so continuing with my big pile of series, I have now caught up with Hollow Parks. I've read Hollow Parks, so I'm now up to date with the Nevermore series. Again, Silverborn, the 4th book, was supposed to be due out this year, and it's been pushed back a year. So I'm going to be up to date with this series for a while, but it's fine. I'm very excited. I'm so pleased I read this book. Absolutely loved it. Knew I would love it. I just needed the moment to sit and embrace it. But we follow Morrigan Crow again in this world, and she's dealing with a lot of her personal baggage. She's got a lot of spell learning to do, so we find out more about her powers. We find out more about the world. There's a bit of a darker turn in the world, and we kind of see people's kind of prejudice and kind of animosity in here, and it was kind of very harrowing. So it's really interesting seeing where this is going to take us. But there's more wonderful fantasy, there's more wonderful friendships, there's more wonderful things for Morrigan Crow, who's a lovely protagonist, and I'm having a great time. And also another middle grade fantasy series that I absolutely adore is Amari. And this is Amari and the Great Game, the 2nd book by B.B. Alston. And this delivered as well. Absolutely delivered. I was so excited by this story and just being in these world and watching Amari growing more, her getting to grip with her powers more, her friendship group, struggles that are going on, the bigger picture that's happening outside, battling prejudice, dealing with certain things, the fallout of certain things that happened in the 1st book. It was just brilliant. And now 3rd book is due out next year. Cannot wait for that one. Okay, I think I've gone through all the series. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to rejig so you can see exactly what my up-to-date pile looks like as of end of June 2023 and the series I'm currently working on pile. Tell a lie, I totally missed one. I started the Pinch of Magic series, which is a middle grade fantasy, and I totally forgot to add it in my pile. So I don't know if my numbers are skew-if now. They are, aren't they? They are. So it's nine series that I started. So there we go. Let's add this to the pile of series started. So I'm going to put the next book that I need to read on the pile. Love Pinch of Magic. Great series. Really enjoying it. Looking forward to reading more. But yeah, 9 series that I started. So 5 I finished. 9 I started. Although 4 are now finished. Oh no, 2 finished, 1 DNF, 1 up to date. So yeah, 4 on the go. 4 on the go. Yes, that makes sense because it was those ones. Great. Lovely. Glad I've got that. Progressed with 9, but 3 were finished, 1 DNF'd. And up to date with 6 as it stands, which I will show you now.
So I am now up to date, along with Only a Monster, She Who Became the Sun and Belladonna. I am now also up to date with Iron Widow, Hollowpox and Amari and the Great Game. Only a Monster and Belladonna are coming out in August. She Who Became the Sun is coming out, I think, in July, the second book in that one. And the other three are not coming out until next year. So here we go. Here is my series on the go. The pile on the left here, there's been no change at all. It's exactly the same as it was previously. But we've had a little bit of a shifty with this one. So I now have the final book in the Brown Sisters trilogy to read, which will be Act Your Age, Eve Brown. I've got the fourth book in the Adventures on Train series to read, Danger at Dead Man's Pass. The fourth book in the Percy Jackson series to read, Battle of the Labyrinth. The fourth and final book in the Ember and Ashes Quartet, A Sky of the Storm to read. The fourth and final book in the Unmapped Chronicles, The Crackle-Dawn Dragon. And then I also have Concrete Rose, the prequel to The Hate You Give. But also, we now have, because I forgot about Pinch of Magic, we also have Sprinkle of Sorcery. And then also I need to add in books where the next one is now out and they're no longer up to date, which is Her Majesty's Royal Coven. I need to read The Shadow Cabinet. I need to read Onyeka and the Rise of the Rebels, which is the second book in the Onyeka series. And I need to read Lizzie and Bell Portraits and Poisons, which is the second book in the Lizzie and Bell mystery series. So we now have, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 ongoing series. So yeah, that's where we stand now. And so when I started doing this, in 2022, December, I'd got 11 series on the go and I was up to date with 4. So end of December 2023, I'd got 21 series and 7 up to date. So I'd increased by 10 series. So if we look at it that way, it's not as bad because for half of the year, I've increased by 3 series. But obviously the goal is to get it less than that. So if I can finish the year on less than 21 series, I will be very, very happy. So I finished 14 series at the end of last year. I finished 5 this year. So the end of August last year, I'd finished 8 series. So that's just 3 more series to finish over the next couple of months to be kind of on track with last year. So I think it's doable. So I will take that. Let me know how you're doing with your series and just give me a chat because you know I enjoy it. Goodbye.